is good.
Great, great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Quite often we have over 220 people that have registered for it, but a lot of y'all don't come. You expect the recording, which is sort of the norm on Zoom, I think. So that's fine. That's fine. But you can ask questions. Lisa is going to be monitoring the chat. And if we have any questions, great. If you want to break in, that's fine too. So we don't have a great deal of people, but we're going to start right now. And as you probably know, Feng Shui is something that Lisa and I have been doing for a long time. We have our own school called the Intrinsic School of Feng Shui, and this expertise from our school is really for you. We want to make sure that you understand where we're from. There are a lot of different schools out there that you could take training with. We've decided to make our focus is actually you and your family more than anything. You definitely get a certification if you decide that you ever want to take training with us and have a business. But we're finding, more and more people are really not going into the business right away, at least. So this is for making your life easier. And I think you need these skills and knowledge for several reasons, but let me give you two major ones. These techniques and tips can make your life easier. It can make you more successful. And then it also can help you with your family, with your loved ones. So we've tried to gear our training more that way. Sleep is a hugely important thing. Uh, I've always found that it was very, very, very important to me. And maybe I'm one of the most unusual people, but even when I was in high school and in college, I made sure that I basically kept the same hours for the most part. And it's always been good to me. But sleep is a real important component of feng shui. I've mentioned many times with respect to this that feng shui is a domino effect. You take care of one thing, it affects another, and that affects another, and so forth. Really, we basically, Lisa and I could start with the idea of getting a great night's sleep. And right there, that'll spur you on to an awful lot more in your life. So this is going to be a little bit of a joke, but too many folks don't take care of their bedroom. And some people have a bedroom that is like a multi-purpose room. And then I had to throw this in, or a war zone. But when we talk about a multi-purpose room, it's really not supposed to be for doing your taxes, okay, or having your kids jumping up and down on the bed and that kind of stuff. It's a different place. It's a special room, and you want to make sure that you handle it a little differently. So for me, this is not good for y'all, and we're not talking about making your bed every morning, even though I think that's really helpful. And maybe you've read that book by that general, and it really is a good idea, but that's not what we're talking about. So I'm going to let Lisa now take over the next several slides, and then I'll come back and talk to you a little later. Again, if you have questions, just go ahead and fire. Okay? Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the chat as I'm talking and as we get into this presentation. What Steve and I study in our practice of feng shui all starts with the seasons of life, the duality, the yin and the yang. So we begin this discussion today with the yin and yang theory. In order for there to be an appreciation of light, we have to have those areas of darkness. So there's a lot of misunderstanding sometimes, light being yang and yin being the shade. If you don't have a mixture of these two together, you're not going to get the best results. There is a chance that you could have what we call a yin or a yang imbalance. Now, a little bit about this, just as an overview, is a yin imbalance would be the thought that you have to have your bedroom like a cave in order to sleep. That means like the heavy room darkening curtains, the heavy fabrics, very, very dark. Now this is going to have some negative effects to it that we dive really deep into in our teaching. Make sure when you're evaluating your bedroom that you have a nice balance and harmony. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slides. It's all about balance, and again, like I said, harmony. That's the request that we get when people come to us, is how can I have a more harmonious environment? So yin and yang, I'm sure you're familiar with the basics, so we'll just go through it a little bit. Yin being all that you see in the column here marked in blue. It's the dark, it's the quiet, the stillness, described as passive and also feminine. And on the yang side, very sunny and bright and high and vibrant, the wakefulness. So although our bedrooms are a place of sleep and rest, you still want to have a harmonious and appropriate balance. Yes, we do want our bedrooms to be a little more yin, to be peaceful and have that spa atmosphere. Ultimately, Feng Shui is about feeling secure. If you want to boil it down to practicality, Feng Shui is a way that we are able to program and interact with our subconscious level to help us feel safe and secure. And when we feel safe and secure, we're going to fall right asleep. We don't have to worry about anyone attacking us or sneaking up on us. We can finally rest. So, in order to get a good night's sleep, we're going to talk through a little bit about ways that you can create this safety and security and talk to your levels of subconscious. And you can think about your own bedrooms too as we're going through this if you want to point out any areas that you're having concerns. For us to be able to prosper and to be able to concentrate, the environment is very, very critical. And as today we're talking about our bedroom, it's ultimate. We cannot pour from an empty cup. If we're not getting our rest, we can't help others, we can't be productive. We need to be able to feel secure and also comfortable too. If you don't have the safety, you don't have comfortable, and vice versa. When we feel more comfortable, we're going to have and attract more positive things in our lives, and including our sleep. And for those of you who recall your dreams, you'll have better dreams too. So it all starts with, in Feng Shui, we create our environments based on the principles that we learned in perfecting our building sites. So, on an ancient level, the most important element to creating this is looking for what we call is the armchair effect. So in landform school and Feng Shui, we're looking for locations that give us protection behind us, with mountains perhaps, and on either side, hills to give us protection from predators, and then being able to have visibility and far visibility to see if there's anybody approaching. This is referred to as a classic armchair effect in our terms here. And it's very, very important for you to be able to feel that intrinsic Feng Shui nature. You can feel that harmony. And Steve, I always go back to when I'm telling people when I first met with you and you were describing your son as a policeman walking into an environment and keeping his back to the wall and the visibility on either side and forward. So that's another demonstration of having the armchair effect. So you'll find that how you position yourself in any environment is probably in that position. We also call that the power position. So symmetry is really important in a master bedroom, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. There's just that we have physical clutter and in terms of piling up paperwork or collecting things that we don't need. It doesn't need to be a hoarder nature to make us feel uncomfortable. Visual clutter can keep us awake. And the organization of objects around us too also has that communication to our subconscious. So in a master bedroom in particular, if it's a space that you desire to share with a partner as well, you want to make sure there's a lot of symmetry. So you want a lot of equality, a lot of symmetry. That means either side of the bed, having the same distance, and so on and so forth. Even in the artwork, you should have that symmetry. You don't want to be woken up by anything that's too unusual or too wakeful. Poison arrows, another famous topic that Steve and I love to teach about, and it's one of our most commented classes. Once we share what a poison arrow is, the floodgates open with questions. Poison arrows are what we identify as sharp corners, points, anything that's directed towards your body, such as corners, the edges of flower pots that you see here. Roof lines can be poison arrows, also corners of buildings. So when you have a corner or a poison arrow pointed at you for any length of time, it will cause a lot of stress and insecurity. So if you're in your bedroom, you want to make sure that you are not um, suffering from a lot of poison arrows, such as beams overhead. If you're lying underneath of a beam, that could cause a lot of oppression. If you have a sharp table to the side of your head, pointed directly at your head, that will also be disruptive to your sleep and to your rest. There's ways that you can mitigate and soften these poison arrows, and they're very quite simple to do and practical in nature. But that would be one of the first places I look as you're evaluating your bedrooms. Now I'm going to get back to the position of the bed and talking about that armchair effect. We are going to apply that to your bedroom. Really, really important. We want to make sure that the bed is positioned in a way that you can see the entryway into the room. And we want to make sure that we can see, if is anyone coming in, do you have the mountain energy of protection behind you, or do you have a window behind you? Again, no, don't fret, because if you have a window behind you, there's ways to mitigate this. Another reason why you wouldn't want a window directly behind you is that there's a lot of energy that comes in. So there's, for example, window treatments and so on and so forth. You want to make sure that your feet aren't, pointed out a door, for example, or that you don't have the first view when you wake up being the toilet in your bathroom. You want to make sure that you don't have mirrors pointed and multiplying the energy of your bed as you lie in it. First, it's disruptive to your sleep to have this yang energy. And also, you might think that seeing that reflection when you're very, very tired, it could cause you some stress and start to think about attacks. Terrible. But mirrors are very powerful feng shui cures in themselves. And if you have them in your environment, we want to be careful when we're multiplying in a mirror. If you have a bedroom at the front of the house, you're also in a very yang environment. So there's things that we would want to do to soften and cancel out a lot of that yang energy. Taking really careful attention to the electronics in your room, keeping those to a minimum. There's ways to conceal them that are very feng shui. And also taking into consideration the EMF, electromagnetic fields as well, is something that we evaluate as feng shui professionals. Keeping those away from your body as much as you can, or tampering them down. A part of that is lighting a bedroom. You're going to want to have a good variety of lighting in all of your rooms, but you're going to want to minimize the overhead light because it can be very oppressive and have that feeling of interrogation that you don't want to have in a bedroom. Lamps to either side and having that equality, a lamp on either side, is what we advocate. And avoiding anything that's too harsh, which is difficult to find when you're shopping for light bulbs these days. You want to make sure that there's ways that you can soften and dim your lights whenever possible. So again, we can be very creative with the lighting. Feel and touch, really important. The temperature of your room and space, don't forget that's part of the feng shui equation. You want to make sure that you're feeling very comfortable in the space and paying attention to that thermostat. We'd like it to see it ideally between 69 and 73 degrees. That's what the studies show us, to give you the best rest and to allow your body to really get into that nice restful sleep. Aroma, one of my favorite topics. I love essential oils. If that's something that you're interested in too, you can choose a scent that maybe evokes a spa scent for you, something very, maybe you gravitate to something that's more food-based, like vanilla or a combination of that. But stick to some scents that are recognizable and simple. Don't go nuts in your bedroom and find something that's too complex. That will be too young. You can keep most of your house very young. You can use those vibrant scents such as orange and anything that's going to really wake you up. So that may be different for each person. your bedroom would be the area that I would suggest changing it to something more yin, eucalyptus, lavender. But whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable, but keep it subtle. Again, we're trying to quiet the senses and allow us to restore. And then I'll let
Yeah,
you go.
that's great, Lisa. Thank you. That was really wonderful. And we're going to now start with mirrors. Lisa's already mentioned mirrors. They can be good and they could be poor in certain situations. Too many folks put up mirrors in the wrong places, and they maybe have no idea what's being reflected. So you always want to make sure when you hang one, you have an idea. Because if a mirror is reflecting things like clutter or your taxes or whatever, it sort of doubles that negative energy, something that sort of weighs around your head. You don't want something to come off as double. If it reflects a beautiful picture or a great view, fantastic. Okay, it's going to double your pleasure, you might say. Don't place a mirror at the end of the bed like you see in this picture. Lisa's already mentioned that it really creates a much more of a yawn environment. It moves light around a little bit too much. It's just not the best thing to do. So the one to the left is a much better situation where you have it off to the side if you have to have a mirror in your bed. Color is one of the most important things to me with respect to how a lot of us really react to it. And we break it up into warm colors and cool colors in our training. Warm colors are yan considerations, and these are examples of those. And what they do is they actually advance and excite people. It's great for socialization and stuff like that. But if you're trying to get a good night's sleep, we want to minimize what you see here. I wouldn't totally throw them out the window, though. We definitely want to have some balance. We want to make sure that the five elements are in good shape and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to go this route like you see in that room down there in the bottom. So this is not what we want for our bedrooms. So we're looking more for cool colors. These are give you an idea what cool colors are. And the neat thing about them psychologically is that they actually recede and lower the energy in the room and give you a much better chance to get a good night's sleep. So you can see in this picture up here on the top right, this is more what we're looking for like this. I love sage greens and certain things, for example. Here's another picture of a different shade of sage green. I use it a lot when I'm working with somebody in their bedrooms. But you can certainly use a lot of other possibilities. There are so many countless possibilities like blue grays and even some of the beiges. I'd like to make the beige a little darker. I don't want to have a lot of reflection. So as Lisa also mentioned, that if you have a bedroom in the front of the house, to me, you have a slight problem and you're going to have to handle it a little differently. I don't really like heavy curtains, but you might have to do something like that to take care of the possibility of potential noise off the street. So if your bedroom is closer to the street or it's closer to something that has a lot of noise, you might have to do something similar to this. Let's look at a couple of bedrooms. This bedroom right here to me is the ultimate worst kind of a situation. And you can see it's at the beach. So it's up against a window, so therefore it doesn't follow the classic armchair that Lisa brought up. Okay, so there's no real support behind them. And then secondly, there's probably going to be excessive light in the morning, which will wake you up possibly too early. Definitely potential noise. There are people all the time on a beach walking around and having a good time. And it could have a lot of glare. Taking into account the five senses once again, it could warm up way too quickly. And so we want to go back to the idea of making sure that it's a comfortable temperature. It's too yan in this picture. I hope you can see that. So definitely I would want to change this a great deal. Here's a second bedroom. It's a lot better. Okay, the headboard can be very, very helpful. It's very supportive. It's already up against a solid wall. There's that classic armchair again. So they can see who's walking in the room. So they're in a particularly good position. But even though the symmetry is good, the elements are out of balance. So I know we're not talking about the elements today, but some of you probably have some knowledge about the five elements, and they can be out of balance and therefore create a problem for you. Bedroom number 3 has a lot going for it real well. All the elements are present. It shows perfect for a couple. We're always trying to show that it's perfect for two people.
Uh-huh.
And it's a real important aspect. Bedroom number 4, same kind of idea.
Yeah. That's why today I felt like I needed to come to the office and kind of just
Joe,
really get
Joe's,
my back in a routine that I feel more in
hey,
control versus the
Joe,
last few days that I feel like I had no control over
I think you can
anything.
mute him, Steve. You have the control to mute him.
I don't know
If
how
you
to
click
do.
on the three
Oh,
dots.
really?
Okay, I don't know how to mute him.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Joe,
You click on the three dots on his name and
Yeah, did you? It is. It really is. It
we're
really is,
almost done.
for
But
sure. No. Mhm.
oh,
there you go. It happens.
okay. Anyway, so bedroom number 4, you can see that it has easy access on both sides, so people can get out. You're always trying to show equality for people. You know, if you show it for just one person, it really changes the way you think of things. We're all looking for a chance to share our lives with somebody else. Hung up for a second. So going back to the bedrooms and some of the do's and the don'ts, again, the bedrooms are real important for restful sleep. And when we don't have that, our health is going to be definitely hurt. And the goal, of course, for everybody is to wake up feeling really, really good, rejuvenated, and being ready to take care of the day ahead. So busy wallpaper or a strong yan color like you see over there in the second picture is not going to help the situation. So the two other rooms down at the bottom are really going to work real well for you. So yin elements that you might need to add are cooler colors, like we already talked about, full length curtains if you need to do that. And again, in Feng Shui, we really like to try to bring in natural light as much as possible. So we like to try to stay away from that. But in some cases, especially for the hours that you're going to be in bed, maybe you need that. And even a carpet or a rug on the floor sometimes can really create a different feel for you instead of just a floor that is all hardwood or whatever tile. That doesn't create the same kind of feeling. One of the things that we do when we're doing an evaluation is we take a house and look at it with respect to the street, and we draw the midpoint. And the midpoint here gives you a much better idea of where most of the noise might be or the activity. And that's sort of the yang half. And then the other half is the yin. So back there is the perfect place for your bedroom. But again, if your bedroom's not there, you might have to put a little extra effort into it with, again, the heavy curtains and possibly a different types of fabric and what you put on the floor. So a busy street is sometimes what we try to keep people away from possibly purchasing. But as you probably know, especially if you're in real estate, you only have one voice here and they're going to make up their own mind. Now, if the street is on the side where the door is, the front door, so your midpoint's going to be this way. So the midpoint is always going to be drawn parallel to the street. So just keep that in mind. So this is the yang part. This is going to be probably more social, and then this is the yin portion. So again, the entrance on the side, draw the midpoint parallel to the street. Let me tell you a quick bit about our school, and then we'll open it up to questions. Again, our school is a little different. We really try to work on the person. We want to make you as strong and as powerful as possible to make your life better. So we're about transforming you. You definitely get a certification if you decide that you ever want to take up our training. But not everybody wants to make a career of this, but you do have that certification with a beautiful diploma. And also you're going to be added to the the international school, the International Feng Shui Guild, excuse me. So this again is the end of the situation for us tonight, but I hope if you have any questions, we'd love to answer for you. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody have any questions today? Okay. Well, it's sort of normal, but that's okay. So, quite often a lot of people send us questions through our email,
Yeah, I
and
was
we'd
just
love to answer them for you. Anybody else have a question? All right, well, thank you so much for showing up. I'll give you the recording later today, and keep your eye open for other LinkedIn Lives that we do. And you all have a great day, and thanks for showing up.
feeling better.